Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Today we are going to discuss one of the most, I must say, one of the most common problem in children, that is anemia or what we call as pallor in children. Some of the children they may present just with anemia, but at the other time they present with respiratory or GI problems, and anemia is an associated problem in these children. Objective of my presentation in next 30 minutes is that to share with you some important facts related with anemia in children and why we are so concerned about anemia in children, or I must say the importance of anemia in pediatric age group. And finally, most of our discussion will be how, as a clinician, as a pediatrician, we should clinically approach to a baby who present with anemia or pallor in our outpatient clinic. But before moving forward, let's have a discussion about uh, how we define anemia. The importance of this subject is that different age group in pediatric age group have different levels of hemoglobin. Like that will make you easy to understand that HB of 12 gram may be normal for a 5-year-old school-going child baby, while this hemoglobin of 12, 13 gram will be taken as anemia or low hemoglobin in a newborn baby, in which more than 20 gram of hemoglobin is normally required. Uh, Different type of impact of anemia in children is taken as differently. We know that the most important effect of low hemoglobin is on the physical and mental growth of the children. But practically, the interaction of baby with other colleagues, with parents, with other siblings is very much dependent on the normal hemoglobin level. A baby who is having low hemoglobin generally is irritable, cranky, or what we call as a non-friendly type of baby. Go into this very busy slide, which depict number of causes of different causes of low hemoglobin in children that will make you confused, that will make you upset. Because with this busy slide, we are not able to approach to how to diagnose a baby who come with low hemoglobin. For that reason, practically we subdivide uh, the causes of anemia into different easy to understand and practically uh, how to approach a baby who present with anemia or low hemoglobin. One way of classification is etiological classification. That what is the underlying cause of anemia in children, like uh, a problem with the impaired production of red blood cells in the bone marrow, or due to blood loss from the especially from the GI tract, or maybe after some trauma. And another common reason of anemia or low hemoglobin in pediatric age group is hemolytic anemia, which means that in that group of anemia, red blood cells are not able to complete their whole cycle of 120 days. They break down somewhere around 40 or 50 days of their life. So, breakdown of red blood cells uh, before the complete of their normal cycle of 120 days is reason for hemolytic anemia. and we will have a separate lecture and discussion on this hemolytic or breakdown of hemoglobin red blood cells earlier than normal. Another good way of classification is or approach to a baby with anemia is to classify anemia on the basis of size of the red blood cells and the degree of hemoglobin concentration in red blood cells. So, if the size of the red blood cell is less than 70 femtoliter, that is called microcytic anemia, and you can compare from these two pictures that red blood cells, they are not only looking uh, less red or light in color, they are also looking smaller in size compared to the normal red blood cells. There are a number of reasons for this microcytic as well as hypochromic anemia, but two the most common causes in pediatric age group, they are iron deficiency anemia and thalassemia. The second group of anemia based on the size of red blood cells is when the size of the red blood cell is more than 85 femtoliter or macrocytic anemia. And if you compare the two pictures, these red blood cells, they are looking uh, pale compared to normal, but also their size is abnormally large. And there are a number of good reasons for macrocytic of anemia in children, but the common causes are deficiency of B12 and folic acid deficiency, what we call as megaloblastic anemia, some type of aplastic anemia. They are also of macrocytic type of anemia, while all patients resulting from some chronic liver problem in children, they do have larger size and hypochromia. So, problems of the liver, aplastic type of anemia, as well as megaloblastic due to deficiency of B12 and folic acid, they are relatively common causes of macrocytic type of anemia in pediatric age group. There is another type of anemia in which the size and the complexion or color of the red blood cells is normal, uh, but the number of red cells, they are inadequate compared to normal number of red blood cells in the stream of blood. So such type of anemia in which this size of the red cell is normal is seen in patient with acute blood loss as well as in patient with chronic kidney problem because of problem with the inadequate erythropoietin in these patients. So normocytic type of normal size of red blood cells is seen in anemia of acute blood loss, anemia of infection, as well as chronic kidney problem. There are other relatively less common causes in which one can have a normal size of the red blood cells. Before moving forward, uh, children of developing countries like our beloved country Pakistan, there are a number of causes we see, causes of anemia see in children, but iron deficiency anemia, thalassemia, and aplastic anemia, these three are relatively common causes of anemia in pediatric age group. So, clinically, when we move forward, when we go ahead in the how to approach when a baby presents with anemia, obviously we start our discussion with the history taking. And in the history, the most important factor is discussion related to diet of the children. A baby who is having delay or prolonged delay in the onset of weaning or prolonged milk feed, they are commonly suffer from anemia. And out of these, iron deficiency as well as sometimes folate deficiency, they are common reason for anemia in children. So detailed dietary history should be taken, especially in reference to the intake of milk, especially in reference to the introduction of semi-solids, and especially in reference to intake of iron-rich diet in pediatric age group. The second important factor in the history while evaluation of a baby with anemia is the family history. Any history of transfusion in the male or female children uh, in in a baby who comes with anemia is important because uh, hemolytic anemia like thalassemia, they are autosomal recessive. Similarly, some type of aplastic anemia runs in families. So family history of blood transfusions, death of the siblings because of anemia in younger age group is also important. Similarly, history of splenectomy, if it has been undertaken in any of the children, in other siblings is also important. One should also focus that a baby who present with pallor, what are other common manifestations like irritability, like easy fatigability, not participating good physical activity at the school, uh, problem with the sleep or irritable behavior. They are other issues which are seen commonly in patients who present with anemia. Similarly, one should go into the detail that whenever the patient is losing hemoglobin from the GI tract, they may manifest in the form of anemia, melena, or in the form of hematemesis. So, one should ask about the history of blood loss from any obvious site. Physical examination of the baby who present with pallor is the most important evaluation tool after history, and it helped the pediatrician to decide is the battery of investigation. There are important ways and means which help the pediatrician to find out what is the underlying cause of anemia. To demonstrate pallor or anemia, one have a look on the palm and compare it with his own pinkish complexion of the palm. Similarly, in the eye, one can have appearance of redness, appearance of degree of anemia. On the conjunctiva is another way of reflection. Uh, Similarly, after demonstrating the pallor in your uh, baby, you go for the demonstration of bruises or petechiae, because whenever the pallor is associated with bruises or hematomas or petechial rash in your baby, that depicts that there is the reason is something else other than the problem with the hemoglobin. Similarly, the presence of splenomegaly is very important because when pallor is associated with splenomegaly, that reflects that there is some underlying hemolytic problem or there may be some underlying malignancy in the children. And if splenomegaly is also associated with lymphadenopathy, that is strongly suggestive of some proliferative or what we called as hematological malignancy in our children. And facial appearance of thalassemia is known to you that they are not, they have very typical appearance, and just have a look on the face of a patient who is having thalassemia is simple way to diagnose clinically a case of thalassemia. After history and physical examination, just a simple CBC is very important, and determination of hemoglobin, red blood cell counts, reticulocyte counts, number of white blood cells, and the number of platelets, they are very important to define that what specialized investigation is further required to go for the confirmation of the underlying cause. So simple CBC with the inclusion of reticulocyte counts, white blood cell counts, and number of platelets is sufficient to help you clinically to proceed with the final confirmation of the diagnosis with specialized tests. So, uh, on the history of on the history, examination, and peripheral blood picture, one can subdivide our patient into different groups. The first and the most common group is group 1, in which there is low hemoglobin, in which RBC count is low, as well as reticulocyte count is low. So when a baby who presents with low hemoglobin, low RBC count, and low reticulocyte count, that reflect that patient is having some sort of deficiency anemia. And for that, you ask uh, the pathologist to determine what is the serum iron level, what is iron binding capacity, as well as if you have the suspicion of megaloblastic anemia, you ask for B12 or folic acid level. So out of these, as I mentioned, that the most common deficiency anemia in a developing country is iron deficiency anemia. And we will uh, spend a little more time of discussion related with iron deficiency anemia. Uh, as I mentioned, that the most common cause is related to diet. If there is prolonged intake of milk in these children, or delay in the onset of, or in the delay in the introduction of weaning foods in these children, that is the most common cause of iron deficiency anemia in pediatric age group. Similarly, there are some problems in which there is problem with the absorption of iron, and sometimes blood loss from the GI tract in the form of polyps, in the form of chronic ulcer, are another reason for the development of iron deficiency anemia. These children, they present with obviously with pale complexion, with easy fatigability, irritable behavior. But another important clue in the history is that these children, they have the habit of taking inanimate subject like paint, like mud, like paper. So intake of such history of intake of such inanimate things, which is we commonly called as pica, is another indication in the history that patient is likely suffering from iron deficiency anemia. So, if we have a look on the peripheral picture of these patients, they have smaller size as well as low chromia, or what we called as decreased red complexion of these RBCs. So these children, they typically have microcytic as well as hypochromic anemia. And we ask for serum ferritin or iron level, they are low while iron binding capacity is high. Management of iron deficiency anemia is the supplementation of oral iron in the form of syrup in these children. Uh, mm, but at the same time, in addition to supplementation of iron, which we continue for not only for a few weeks but for many months, because we not only have to build up the hemoglobin level of these children, but also we have to replenish, we have to reorganize, we have to build up the stores of iron in the bone marrow, in other organs like liver in these children. So we have to continue iron supplementation at least for 2 to 3 months. But at the same time, in addition to iron supplementation, we ask the family, we ask the parent to go for a diet which is rich in iron in the form of um, meat, in the form of liver, in the form of green vegetables. The second group of anemia in which hemoglobin is low, in which RBC count is low, but at the same time they have low white blood cell count as well as their platelets counts is low. So all the three series in the bone marrow, that is red blood cells, white blood cells, as well as megakaryopoiesis or platelet production, they all series they are low in these patients. And this group of illness is called inadequate production or aplastic anemia in pediatric age group. And the most important test which helped to confirm the diagnosis of aplastic anemia is to go for bone marrow biopsy. And when we have a bone marrow aspiration or trifine biopsy, all cell lines of erythropoiesis, myelopoiesis, as well as megakaryopoiesis, the all cell lines are depressed in the bone marrow. In pediatric age group, there are two group of causes of aplastic anemia. Uh, as I mentioned, they have pancytopenia or all three cell lines are uh, uh, inadequately produced in the bone marrow. One can subdivide the causes of aplastic anemia into two groups. One in which they have due to some genetic problem in the production of red blood cell, what we called as congenital aplastic anemia, or the another name for these children is Fanconi's anemia. They have some problems in the genetic background of these children, and there is some problem with the chromosome uh, of these children that they are not able to develop appropriately from the erythroblast. And confirmation of this is by the demonstration of chromosomal breakage studies. Their chromosomes have easily breaks in their morphology and that confirm the diagnosis of congenital aplastic anemia or Fanconi's anemia. These children, in addition to have many morphological abnormalities in the form of their hypoplastic thumb, in the form of their uh, abnormal ulna and radius. So inadequate, uh, their problem with the extremities of the fingers, of the thumb, of the bone, as well as hyperpigmentation is seen in patient with Fanconi's anemia. Management of these children is with the addiction of androgen for 1 to 2 years in the form of oxymetholone, which help their erythroblast to develop normally again into adequate number of red blood cells. And if this therapy is not appropriately helping the child to develop good hemoglobin, one has to go for bone marrow transplantation in congenital aplastic anemia. Second group of aplastic anemia is acquired type of aplastic anemia in which different underlying immunological factors destroy the precursor red blood cells in the form of different antibodies or cytotoxic cells. They block the maturation of red blood cells into erythrocytes. There are a number of reasons for these acquired type of aplastic anemia, like different type of antibiotics, especially the notorious chloramphenicol, different sulfonamides, a number of anticonvulsants. These use of drugs, they are common causes of acquired aplastic anemia. Similarly, infections like hepatitis B and C, HIV, different type of cytomegalovirus, these viruses leads to acquired type of aplastic anemia. Similarly, radiations and other number of other causes which somehow by immunologically disturb the uh, uh, maturation of erythroblast into erythrocytes. Uh, so these children, they not only have low hemoglobin in the form of pallor, easy fatigability, and loss of appetite because of a platelet problem, because of thrombocytopenia, they have petechiae and easy bruisability. They tend to have bleeds from the mucosal surfaces, from the nose, from the uh, mm, uh, gums, as well as from the GI tract. And because of low white blood cell counts, these children, they are liable to develop different type of infection. And sometimes these infections, they get complicated and they develop into resistant type of pneumonias. When we go to work up these aplastic anemia, these patients, they have low hemoglobin, as I mentioned, they have low white blood cell counts, as well as their reticulocyte count is low. So low hemoglobin, low white blood cell count, as well as thrombocytopenia, which is seen in these children. And confirmation of diagnosis is on the bone marrow examination, which shows that all the three cell lines, they are depressed. We can discuss um, management of acquired type of aplastic anemia, but my wish is that you go yourself to your books, to the Google search, that what is the treatment of aplastic anemia, and this is home assignment from my side, that you yourself make an endeavor, you make an effort, and make a simple paragraph of management of aplastic acquired type of aplastic anemia yourself, and you can share your assignment on my email, that is aliagapk20 at the gmail.com, or WhatsApp to me at my number of 0300 and I will appreciate that how smart you are, how you make your effort to find the cause of, to find the treatment of aplastic anemia, and we can share on email or on the WhatsApp how to treat aplastic anemia. And next time we will have uh, this third group of anemia, that is hemolytic anemia, how to diagnose hemolytic, what are different types of hemolytic anemia, and how one should manage hemolytic anemia in pediatric age group. So thank you very much for patient listening. And if you have any question or queries, you can share with me on with my email or on my WhatsApp at this number. Thank you very much for patient listening.